This absolutely shocked me. If you have lived in a high control religious family, there is no question that there are certain rules in the religion or supposedly in the religion that get blown way out of proportion more than other ones. There's certain sins that are blown up as a bigger deal and certain ones that are minimized. And there can be, in the one that I grew up in, I was Muslim, and the way that men got treated for certain sins versus women was also completely different. But I found out this thing that really has me questioning lately because I just recently found it out whether or not my parents were really that religious or not. And so here's what it was. I was reaching out to my aunt asking for all these questions about background on my dad because lately I've been really curious about like where all the rules came from. And at some point, we got to the topic of the way the inheritance got split after my grandma passed away. And my aunt told me everything was split up Islamically. I got 1/3, your dad got 2/3. His 2/3 apparently was not taxed, her 1/3 was. But the part that got me was I was like, wait. You're saying there's an Islamic way to split up an inheritance? I had no idea. Not one person in my family has brought it up. Not one person in the community has brought it up. And I was like, you know what, I'm curious. I want to look into this. And I looked into it. What she was saying was correct. And I thought at first this is going to be sunnah or hadith, which is like the way that the Prophet lived, things like that they studied, which is not something that's as protected as the Quran, because the way that we grew up, the Quran is supposed to be the text that God has protected. And that is supposed to be like the true word of God. And then hadith is like more like the life of the prophet, things like that, where it may have happened, it may not have. Some of it is like, they're like, we're pretty sure this happened, we're not sure, things like that, right? So I thought maybe it was like a sunnah or hadith thing, and that maybe that was why certain people might follow it and certain people wouldn't. And I found out that no, it was clearly spelled out in the Quran. There is an actual surah, and it goes over exactly how much inheritance every single person gets. And when my dad passed away, my mom got 100%. She had control over everything. There was money set aside for us to go to college, but she was the one who was in charge of withdrawing that money, and she had full control over whether or not she could give it to you or not, depending on what school you were going to and things like that. And so me and my siblings, we didn't inherit anything, even though, according to what I read, we should have inherited about 2/3, I think it was, and my mom should have inherited a certain portion as well. I can't remember how much. I want to make something really clear here. I don't mind being self-made, and I really don't care if I don't inherit a dime. It's okay with me. The problem for me was all the financial abuse that happened, all of the ways that they sabotaged me getting a job or prevented me from being able to work or getting on my own feet. That part bothers me. And also, as a person that no longer follows that religion anymore, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and come in and be like, well, I should have inherited something. I don't care. And the thing about it that gets me, though, is these people were sitting there always making me feel bad, always making me feel like I wasn't good enough for the religion, always making a huge deal out of these more, I don't know, like these different like things that were considered sins, and yet they're overlooking things that don't benefit them, and they're not sitting there saying that they're any less Muslim or religious or anything. When it comes to greed, like both my parents have shown patterns of just going for the money grab and not really caring about how it affects others. And I mean, it sucks. The last time my dad physically abused me, I was 19 years old, and he left bruises all on my arm and my back. And I remember thinking, I remember him telling me like, oh, you can try to leave, but you can't because you don't have the money and you don't even have a car. He told me I would be a bagless wench without him. And I remember when he was getting abused by my mom when he was sick, there was like nothing any of us could do because we were completely powerless. Everything was going to go to her, and we knew that she was like the new dad. You had to just follow that authority. He always made sure that she was on the same line as him. And that was tough. That was tough being in a situation where like I couldn't do anything to help, you know, like he was being force-fed, he was being violently pushed into cars really aggressively, things like that. So anyways, my whole message in all of this is if you are going through that process of getting over some of the religious abuse that you went over in your family and you never felt good enough, guess what? The people that were telling you that, they aren't either. And their perspective on what's a bigger deal than others can also depend on what serves them. And it really makes me question if they were really that religious, or if it was more like, hey, let me put God into everything to be more of an enforcement and kind of make you do things rather than follow something. Or maybe they truly are religious and they truly do believe in God and they're doing their best. I don't know. That's not my judgment to make. But, and again, I don't care if I don't inherit money, but it's been running through my head, definitely making me question a lot of things right now.